We play and call it work.
MiniWarGamer Dave here from MiniWarGaming.com, here with Matt. And in this video, we're going to continue the Tau discussion. And it's going to be Matt telling me the rules for the first time. I've never heard of them before, and seeing my reaction. He's trying to convince me that they're really awesome, but it's not going to work.
Well, I actually don't even know what's going to happen now, because the last video I basically spent the entire time trying to talk about how I'm going to nerf the Tau, and you were trying to defend why they shouldn't be nerfed.
You can't disagree with the words.
I know, but I'm just still confused.
Setting prejudices aside.
What's going on in your head?
I'm reading.
I give you an opportunity to be like, no, you're right.
Okay,
yeah. Don't let them do that.
No, it's the exact same as saying, Dave, this is black. Do you disagree? Yeah. It's
I
like
know.
that.
It was just weird. I just thought you'd readily agree to anything that would nerf the Tau.
See, that seems
You're really a Tau lover, aren't you?
changing
You
the
love
ways.
Tau.
That's not gonna
You
work.
love Tau.
No,
You love Tau.
not at all.
Say I love Tau.
I eat Tau for breakfast.
Because you love them.
Actually, I eat fish
They're
all
yummy.
day.
They're yummy.
Yeah.
You love Tau. Just admit it. So, in this video, we're going to go over... We already talked about the overall detachment and the combined thing. That might come up, but I really don't want that to be the focus of this video, because I think we've beaten that one to death. We've already talked about the Hunter Cadre, which is the main core choice. So now we're going to talk about the auxiliary choices.
Okay.
Some of them are less exciting than others. For example, there's one formation where you can bring 3 flyers. It's like 2 fighters and a bomber, I think. And they can ignore crew shaking and crew stun on a 2+, and they start repairing hull points on 6s.
So they essentially have demonic possession.
Exactly.
Except they don't lose a hull point if they roll a 1. And they have a little bit of a nerf that will not die.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But that doesn't sound like you have to bring 3 flyers. And let's face it, the
Tau don't have good flyers?
The Tau flyers are they're okay, they're fine, but they're not like
the rest of their army.
Yeah, so by giving them those buffs, it makes them actually half decent. So you have things like that. You have ones where you bring 3 hammerhead squadrons. They can just be squadrons of 1, and a sky fire. Think of it basically as like basically 3 of their tanks plus 1 of their missile tanks. And when they shoot, you can choose a point on the table, and any of them that shoot at anything within 6 inches get to twin link.
Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But once again, you've got to bring a lot of hammerheads and the missile gunship. The name is escaping me. So we have some formations like that, which are just like, yeah, cool. We have a Vespid and Kroot formation. One thing that people really hoped that the new Tau Codex would do was to make Vespid and Kroot good. And they didn't change the Vespid and Kroot, but they did give them a formation. It requires 2 squadrons of Vespid and 4 squads of Kroot. Now you can min squad those and make them not
So you'll never see them.
Yeah, you still not. But it does give them some cool rules. The Vespids gain infiltrate. They're jump creatures. They're jump infantry with strength 5, AP 3 blasters. Single shot. Yeah, but they're really expensive. So
like when you say really expensive, what's really expensive?
like when you compare it to the rest of the Tau Codex, it's like don't even bother bringing them. Like seriously, Tau players, we'll bring them for fun.
I wish my Raptors had a strength 5, AP 3 something. They
I
could
know.
fire.
Still Blitz at skill 3 though. Now mind you, you can do that whole combined firing thing and get it up to the skill 4, but it's still, you just have to trust me on it. There's many better things than that.
I trust you.
But they gain infiltrate and they gain stealth in forests, and also they buff Kroot nearby within 12 inches. They give Kroot +1 Blitz at skill, and then the Kroot gain shrouded in forests instead of stealth because they already have stealth forest and they gain shrouded. And they all gain supporting fire for each other because Vespid and Kroot can't supporting fire, but they gain supporting fire to each other, so they can only help each other. Not really a big deal. In fact, you're still not going to see them. However, we do have some formations, 3 I would say in particular, that you're probably going to see the most often.
In addition to the cadre.
Well, the Hunter Cadre is core, so you have to.
So you have to. Okay.
Yeah. No, so you have to take 1 to 10 auxiliary. Other than that, let's talk about one of the lighter ones first. The Retaliation Cadre.
Retaliation's light.
Retaliation's what?
Huh?
Okay.
Fish.
This consists of a commander. So this will be a second commander in your thing because you already have the Hunter Cadre.
Buffander? What'd you call it?
No, the buff. Well, he could be a buff commander if you wanted to.
Oh.
But he's a commander. And 3 units of crisis battle suits, a unit of broadsides, and a unit of riptides. So this could be a whole army in and of itself. Like you could say, I don't want to bring the contingent, I'm just going to bring the Retaliation Cadre. Because you could easily make this very expensive. And essentially they all get relentless, which is only important to the broadsides because they all have heavy weapons. Everybody else is mostly rapid fire and assault weapons.
Yes.
They gain low altitude deployment, which is really cool because if you start them all in reserve, you can announce at the beginning of the battle that you're going to use their low altitude deployment, in which case they come in automatically turn 2 and they all deep strike. Pretty cool. And then they have drop zone clear. When they arrive from deep strike, they get +1 to their ballistic skill.
Okay.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Because
considering their ballistic skill is what, 3?
typically, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's including the broadsides, even the Riptide. The big old monstrous creature Riptide is ballistic skill 3. So getting that extra 1, if they're part of a hunter contingent combining fire and actually hitting on 2s instead of 3s, then that makes them even better.
You know, for a shooty army, you'd think they have better ballistic skill.
You know what? I used to think that too. And then this update really, I think, defined the Tau. As much as I complained about the little overpowered, the hunter contingent really feels like how the Tau play in fluff. And I think they've been doing a good job with that. The guys talked about it in their reroll. Like the Space Marine Gladius Strike Force really feels like how the Space Marines organize themselves. The Khorne Demon Kit, the battle thing, that really feels like how Khorne would organize himself. The Necron Decurion, as much as we hate it, it's how the Necrons deploy themselves and go to battle. Same thing with the Eldar Warhost. So to put all rules aside, the way they make them feel, and the way I feel with the Tau is, no, they're not sharpshooters, but they're really good at working together. And that's when they shine. And the marker lights were used to do that before. So you'd have a unit fire marker lights and then somebody else fire at it and get their buffs.
So it's all for the greater good, huh?
Yeah. So this one's pretty cool. But let's actually get into one. There's one that's my favorite.
Oh, hold on. The first one's called Retribution?
Yeah.
No, the first one's called Retaliation.
The first one's Retaliation Cadre.
Okay.
So they're meant to come in turn 2, do lots of damage.
Yes.
Oh, and there's a cool combo with that, which let's talk about that right now. The Infiltration Cadre. You're gonna like this one. It's actually kind of cool. I don't think this is overpowered, although it could be if you do it in certain ways. It's 3 Pathfinder teams, 2 units of stealth suits, and a unit of piranhas. Those little fast attack.
The little skimmers.
Yeah, so basically all fast attack, except the stealth are elite. But this is really cool. Okay, this is really neat about them. They have intervention request beacons, and I think this is the neat part. If any unit from this formation is killed, they can activate their intervention request beacons. And at the start of your next turn, all your reserves arrive.
Okay, so if 1 unit dies?
Yeah. So imagine if you don't have first turn. You're going second. Your Piranha has Scout. So you deploy him, and then you Scout move him up as close to the opponent as possible and say, I won't jink, I promise. They kill that cheap Piranha, and turn 1, all of your reserves arrive. At the start of your next turn.
That's, okay, so he's bait.
Yeah. And if they don't shoot him, you can be like, okay, fine. I'll just kill, because I got a Fusion Blaster on him, which is Strength 8 Melt. I'm already this close to you. I'm going to get close. I'm going to pop that Land Raider of yours. Because I can. Don't even think about my Ballistic Skill 3, because I'll just get 2 other guys to fire with me, and I'll hit you. Oh, and then I'll buff Mander him and give him ignore cover, so you're screwed even worse. Oh, and Tank Hunter.
Yeah, it's a good...
So basically, kill me or die.
It's a 2-trick pony.
So if you bring the Infiltration Cadre and have that be the only thing that starts on the table, and everything else is in Deep Strike Reserve or outflanking or whatever, I think there'd be some cool stuff. Now, I don't think that's overpowered necessarily. I think that would be kind of fun to do. Be like, here's my army. You kill anything, and I'm going to get you. It's kind of like the Khorne, right? Where you have to be very careful not to kill anything. You just reduce them to 1 guy. It's like, how much stuff do I want to... Maybe the Khorne Demon will be a good defense to the Tau, because they're not going to kill anything. They're going to be like, no, let's just bring that down to 1 guy, that down to 1 guy, that down to 1 guy. You've had that happen to you before, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I've had that happen with the Endless Swarm stuff with Tyranids. Where it's like, this gets to come back if you kill it. They're like, okay, I'll just kill it down to 2. And you have to wait 2 turns to charge it into combat. And then when it dies, it only comes back on a 4+, and it's next turn at the beginning. It's totally useless.
Yeah.
So, some cool formations there. Let's talk about the ones that I think are overpowered, though.
Okay.
Heavy Retribution. This is the mild one of the overpowered ones.
Okay, there's more?
Okay, yeah, we'll get to it. So I want you to tell me what you think of this. This one comes with a Ghost Keel Battlesuit unit. Already a problem, right? And 2 Storm Surge units. So it could theoretically have up to 6 Storm Surges, but, you know.
How many Ghost Kills do you have in a unit? 3?
Up to 3.
Okay.
They're awesome at 3.
So a unit of up to 3?
Yeah, 1 to 3. But they're awesome at 3, because then they get their +1 ballistic skill. And they're awesome anyways. Now this one has optimum fire position, which if storm surges fire at an enemy that's within 12 inches of the ghost keel, they get twin linked. And that's pretty awesome when you consider what they're firing. And monsoon of destruction, like that. If 2 units from this formation fire at the same unit, that unit cannot run or flat out, and their charge range is halved. It's a big deal. So your bloodthirster, just have 2 things fire at it, try to kill it. If they fail to kill it, sorry, your charge range is halved.
That's... Wait, hold on.
And they can't run or flat out.
This sucks.
But the big thing is getting the ghost keels up front and buffing the 2 storm surges by getting them twin linked. Because when you combine that with firing together and getting another ballistic skill. Oh, I'm not sure if you heard this, but do you know how the remember how we were talking about whether they're Titan killers or not, the storm surges, and how we were like, no, they're not Titan killers, right? Because the best weapon they had to go against vehicles was 4 strength 8 AP1 destroyer missiles.
But they have to be like within 12.
No, they're long range, 48 inches or 36 inches, whatever.
I thought that was like, or what am I thinking of? They had to be close. The closer you were, the more dangerous it was.
Oh, that's
like
their main
10,
gun. That's their main
20,
gun. They have that 1 destroyer weapon. But no, they have the 4 one-use only destroyer missiles. They're called destroyer missiles, but they're only strength 8 AP1.
Yes.
How we thought that was odd.
Yeah.
Found out why that was odd.
Why?
If you use a marker light, you can turn them into a destroyer.
How?
You just do.
Is that what it says?
Yeah, what they added, because the marker lights, when you put marker lights on a unit, typically you had 3 choices before. You could use 1 marker light to increase your ballistic skill. You could use 2 marker lights to ignore cover. Or you could use a marker light to fire a secret missile at it.
Okay.
Now they've added a 4th one. You can use a marker light to turn 1 destroyer missile into strength D. So you pour a bunch of marker lights onto your unit, you use 4 of those to fire 4 D weapons.
So that's new to the Codex then?
Yes.
So when we did the video...
When we did the video, we were right. We were right. It's like, this is not a Titan killer. So those destroyer missiles become destroyer with marker lights. And that's where they become effective. So, yeah. So that's just, I wanted to mention that because all of a sudden this formation becomes a little stronger.
Yes. Make the unit stronger.
Yeah, the storm surges are already good, and the ghost kills are just good on their own. And then you put them together and all this, and they're pretty awesome. But there's more.
But wait.
There's more, okay? There's one more. Maybe we'll talk about another one after this, but this one we could probably talk about the most. Optimized stealth cadre. Now, with the Tau, they have a lot of strength 5, 6, 7, and a little bit of strength 8. Not much higher than that. There is some stuff that's higher, but the majority of their weapons are from strength 5 to 7. So what, in your mind, would that make them weak against?
Having high strength? Hordes.
Strength 5 to 7. No, like not having higher than strength 7, typically.
Oh, okay. Land Raiders.
Yeah, high armor vehicles,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Well, you chose Land Raiders, and you're going to make my point moot. But any other high armor vehicle, right? Leman Russes, Imperial Knights.
13. Actually, no, they're 14, aren't they?
Yeah.
14.
Yeah, like 14, 13, 10, or 11 on the back.
Sure.
Or maybe 12, I don't remember. But
Even Predators.
strong on the front, weak on the back.
Sure.
Imperial Knights, even Morkanauts and Gorkanauts, their front armor of 13. That's going to be tough for them.
Sure.
They'll have to get in there with their strength 8 fusion. Then they have to get in the melta range to really make that effective.
Even strength 12 stuff.
Yeah, armor 12 would be hard. Necron Decurion with lots of ghost arcs. That's all armor 13.
Soul Grinders.
Yeah, strength 5 is useless. Strength 6 is useless. Strength 7 can only glance. And that's what they have a lot of. Yes, they have access to strength 10 and strength 9. That's there, but not in the mass numbers. You can get mass amounts of strength 5 to 7 in this army. And not really good armor piercing either. But still, that's negated by the fact that there's just so many shots. So, like, who cares if you're a Terminator? If you had to roll 20 saves,
sure,
you're going to lose some guys. Well, the optimized stealth cadres, once again, we've got a unit of ghost keels. Our favorite. Your favorite. And then they have to bring along 2 units of stealth battlesuits. Okay?
Okay.
And they have the special rule called the Wall of Mirrors. Don't you love the sound of that?
Sounds like a building in a circus.
Yeah, or a Zinch power or something.
Yeah.
The Wall of Mirrors is basically, they can, at the beginning of their shooting phase, they can activate their Wall of Mirrors. And the Ghost Keel automatically get all the benefits, and stealth suits within 6 inches of a Ghost Keel get it as well. So here are the benefits. +1 ballistic skill. Ignore cover. That's already pretty awesome. And trust me, it actually is. That alone, because the Ghost Keels, you bring them a unit of 3, they already have +1 ballistic skill. So now they have +2 ballistic skill. Oh, you can combine them with 3 units. Now they have +3 ballistic skill. And the stealth suits, they'll have that +1 ballistic skill combined with something else. So they're hit on 3s or 2s. But when you fire at a vehicle, you hit its rear armor, regardless of which you're facing.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why you said that when I said Land Raider.
Yeah, you chose Land Raider. I'm like, yeah, okay, that one doesn't work. But who brings Land Raiders? Seriously. So that hits the rear armor of your vehicle. So there's some interesting thing. Imperial Knights walk forward and say, I got my 4+ ion shield out front. I'll hit back. Ignore cover.
Wait, hold on. Does it automatically hit the rear, or do you have an option to?
No, you have to hit the rear.
So Imperial Knight can be like, dip, 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 rear armor, ion shield.
Yep, and then I can just not turn that on and shoot your front armor.
Either way, you're screwed. Yeah.
But either way, forget the Imperial Knight for a second. Most vehicles are weaker on their back. Now this won't matter against like Orcs and Dark Eldar.
It's cover ignoring, right?
Yeah, ignores cover. Yeah, because the question in my mind came up, I'm like, well, how do you determine cover if you're shooting and hitting its rear armor, but you're only facing its front? Do you look at the cover from that? Then I'm like, wait a second, it's always ignore cover.
So this is the vehicle killing formation.
Yeah. So that problem, that weakness, not a weakness. Necron Decurion, not a problem, because guess what is the rear armor of a Necron Ghost Ark?
And put
11.
Put that in your coordinated firepower thing, then you can just target multiple vehicles.
Yeah.
And get.
Well, see, that's what I did in my one battle report, and it didn't end up being that useful because I was against Dark Eldar. They're mostly armor 10 all around. So it hasn't really come up in one of our battle reports. The one that you're going to see today is against Dark Eldar, and I brought this formation. The +1 ballistic skill ignore cover was already a big deal. Like, that was huge. Like, no jinking. Think about that for a second. You're firing at a flyer.
Yeah, they rely on their jinking.
Yeah, you fly at or fire at a flyer, no jinking. You fire at jet bikes, no jinking. You fire at skimmers, no jinking.
Gee.
+1 ballistic skill. And these guys are putting out strength 5, strength 7, and strength 8 shots. And so light vehicles are doomed. But guess what? Most medium to heavy vehicles have rear armor 10. Or maybe 11, like some Lehman Russes and the Ghost Arks. But most other things are going to be 12 out front, 10 in the back, 13 out front, 10 in the back, 14 out front, 10 in the back. That's a +4 strength, if you think about it. You're firing at something with armor 14. It's like you have 4 higher strength when you're firing hitting its rear armor. And it doesn't even get to jink, because it ignores cover.
Well then,
So my question to you then is, how would you counter Tau? Now we've pretty much covered everything. We got the, who cares about that one? Yeah, we already talked about that one. Yeah, we talked about that one. Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, that's all of them. So we've pretty much talked about all of them. So I want you to tell me something that you would use to counter them, and I'm going to see if I can just rebuttal it with something. I'm going to be one of those guys. You ever have a discussion with those guys? Oh yeah, well, I could do this. And then you're like, oh yeah, well, I could do this. And I'll be like, oh yeah, I could do this.
yes, I've talked to one of those guys.
I'm not one of those guys.
I didn't say you were.
I know.
The fact you're defending yourself makes you think that you're one of those guys.
No, I've talked to many more than one of those guys. Okay, so tell me something. What would you do? Okay, forget about Chaos, except for Cord Demonkin, because Chaos.
I forget about Chaos. Why?
Maybe. Okay, do you think Chaos could do something with these guys? All right. What would you do?
Well, first off, okay, let's going with Chaos just for a sec.
Okay.
Okay, because Chaos, they have a lot of invuln saves because of demons and whatever. In fact, their vehicles have invuln saves. The Helldrakes do, and their Soul Grinders, Defilers have, and their Mauler Fiends and Forge Fiends.
All these 5-up invulns everywhere.
5 of invulns, right? So who cares about cover ignoring? When
And if you're doing basic Chaos, you could bring in Tzeentch to give the Cursed Earth and give them all plus to their invulns and everything.
there you go, right? And so you have a bunch of Psychers giving then your 4-up invuln on your vehicles, right? So there's that.
Which is pretty much getting cover saves.
Which is pretty much negating that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one, but then you're bringing a vehicle of, or bringing an army of a lot of that, which you don't typically do.
Yeah, so you're going vehicle heavy with invulns.
With probably lots of small units, which would be, probably Plague Zombies. Cause no, that won't work because I don't get your feeling of pain because you have so much strength high. Even just like min units of cultists though.
Yeah.
Because if they fire at you, like you suck at taking hits.
Well, the thing is, as soon as you have something I don't care about, you can stick it in cover, and I'm probably not going to ignore cover, because why am I going to waste marker lights on it?
Also spawn, throw spawn up.
Just have them run forward, and you have to take care of the
Because
spawn.
here's the thing, in close combat, it's you got to deal with it, right? And it actually could tie you up for a round, but at the same time, you don't want to waste an entire army's firepower on one spawn. So it's kind of like that piranha thing, where you move it up and like, oh, shoot me, oh, don't shoot me, but if you do shoot me,
you're in trouble.
Yeah, so it's like that. So just imagine spawn, like, a whole bunch of them, right? They're 40 points apiece.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can somehow swarm the Tau and keep cover, you need to not be out in the open, because they can take out a swarm. They have enough strength 5 rapid firing, they can take out enough.
Zinch.
But if you have a lot of little units in cover, because all my ignoring cover stuff, except for that optimized stealth cadre thing where he just says, we all ignore cover. For the most part, you have to do something to ignore cover. You gotta like throw some marker lights on them, or you gotta have the buff Mander use his super, super awesome Death Star unit. And that's gonna be a waste against a small unit of spawn or cultists or whatever.
Right, exactly, because your strength is wasted.
So you're gonna have to rely on just firing a lot at them, and hoping that you'll fail enough of your 4+ saves or 5+ cover saves or whatever. And then with vehicles, you're right. If you had anything with the invulns, the demon vehicles could actually do well against them.
Yep. Yeah, and you can bring quite a few of those. Quite a few.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also like your Helldrakes, right? They got a 5-up invul. So they can't jink, sure, but they still have their 5-up.
Well, usually you don't want to anyways, because you got your Flamer.
Right. And that's what you want against the Tau, right? Because they're always planted in the back.
I was surprisingly, the battle part you're going to see today, you're going to see surprisingly how mobile the Tau have become. I was actually able to move around a lot and not just stay in a gun line. But they're not as mobile as other armies for sure.
Okay, let's
and you are going to see them grouped up together.
let's pick another thing.
Well, that was actually pretty good.
It's not bad.
See, some of the things that people have talked about, like drop pod assault, because I can get interceptor and everything so cheap that I can kill your army before it even getting a steps out of the drop pod.
Yeah, so drop pod, that doesn't work.
But you could if you overwhelm them with reserves. Drop pod's not a good example because you can only bring half of them. But if you had a lot of your army in reserve and then something to help you re-roll your reserves or something to get them all in at once, sure, I've got interceptor, but there's just so many things to choose from, and especially if they're deep striking right beside my guys with flamers and other stuff like that, then I've got to pick which ones to deal with, and then the rest can hurt me.
Zinch would be good too, because they got their 4-up invuln save on their 1,000 suns.
I don't know if 1,000 suns would be good. They're too expensive.
They are very expensive, but they'd be survivable, whereas anything else wouldn't be.
Yeah.
They would actually be survivable, and they're
Zinch,
fearless.
I agree. Like Zinch demons would be able to do well against them, because
Heck, any demons.
Because once again, they can just have a lot of guys, and then they can try to do the spawn, like the summoning spam kind of thing, where you just overwhelm them with targets.
Yeah. Even Khorne Demon can, because you got your 5-up invuln on so many of your demons. You just focus heavy on the demons in all of the formations.
I wonder if Tyranids with like a lot of Tyrannocytes. So you're basically drop podding on a lot of them, and again, I wonder if that could help. If you give them so many targets when you drop in that they'll kill a couple for sure. But the thing with Interceptor is it doesn't give you an extra shooting attack. It gives you an out-of-sequence shooting attack. So whatever you fire with Interceptor, you don't get to fire your next turn.
Right.
And you really feel that, because I did that in our first game, as you've already seen. Hopefully, you've already watched that one. What? Like a light bulb.
Okay, well, picture this, right? Yes, drop pod assault. Yes, you get interceptor, but that means that's that many things that can't shoot at whatever in your coordinated assault.
As long as you don't care about the stuff that's in your drop pods. So you got to like tactical marine it, not stern guard. Stern guard come in and it's like those guys are too expensive. I will focus on them and kill them all.
That's overkill against Tau.
Yeah. So you bring in tactical marines with flamers.
Yeah.
And
like min squads.
Yeah, almost. Or combat squads. You put a 10-man combat squad inside the drop pod, drop it in. They split off.
Yeah.
Give the sergeant a combi flamer and have him in one of them, and give the other squad a regular flamer and have them in the other.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, what are you going to kill? I'm all armor 3, so I don't care about cover, because most of the Tau stuff is AP4 and AP5.
Yeah.
There's some AP2, of course.
Yeah. There's just too much for them to chew through, and you got to choose between interceptor.
Now, once again, the problem with drop pod assault is you're forced to bring half of them first turn, and then the other ones could arrive piecemeal. So that is a bit of a disadvantage, because you can only bring half of them in. When you want to bring them all in at once.
But the other thing too is, if they are there and you don't manage to kill them, then they're there in your face.
Yeah.
Right. So the other ones do come on, yes, but do you take care of them, or do you take care of the ones that are right in front of you that are going to kill you?
It's true.
Yeah. But you need a lot of them. You can't just have.
So you have
like
to overwhelm them essentially.
Yeah.
No Death Stars. I don't think a Death Star, unless you have like an invisible Death Star.
They're very good against elite armies.
Yeah. An invisible Death Star could do it as well, because besides marker lights, they don't have anything that's going to improve their shooting against invisibility. But invisibility is always if you have to say invisibility as a counter, then something's gone wrong.
Well, with that you negate the. No, you got to roll so high to hit it anyway. Never mind. Yeah, invisibility it's still powerful.
It's very powerful.
Yeah.
Incredibly powerful.
Bellicor, that's the answer to Tau.
Oh, but then I can just focus him down. Because he's a Death Star in and of himself.
Bellicor. Lord of Skulls. No, you take it out so easily. The Lord of Skulls.
What's his rear armor?
Well, the more he loses, the more attacks he gets. So yeah, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See him with some destroyer hits though.
Wait,
So
one.
the answer isn't anything big. The
One
answer is a
storm
lot of-
surge.
Yeah.
Your missiles now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's dead.
It sounds like the answer isn't anything big.
No.
It's just a lot of small stuff. You have to swarm them, overwhelm them, get fast stuff too. You can't be slow. You can't hope to get there in turn 3. You have to be in their face turn 1 or turn 2. And
So orcs with
Yeah, I think-
KFFs.
you know what?
Is that invuln? The
yeah,
KFFs?
Yeah,
that is right.
Custom force fields are involved.
And that's a good range now, right?
It's a 6-inch bubble, but you stick it inside of a vehicle, and that really increases the.
Yeah. That helps the
footprint.
vehicle and the foot slogging guys.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd bring vehicles with orcs though. The trucks are too easy to pop.
They're easy to pop, but how are you going to get to the Tau when they're sitting in the back? Right? You got to get
Bikes. I'd bring lots of bikes
Why?
because they're fast. They go up 12 inches. You bring a war bike. You bring a war boss and a bike, and those bikes become troops.
Really pegged out first, and they're more expensive.
No. You bring them in min squads at 3. They're cheap. You don't upgrade them. You don't give them knobs.
Just by themselves.
you just
Plain boys
You bring
on
a
bikes.
combined arms attachment with a war boss and a bike, and 6 min squads of war bikes. And then if you still have points, you bring a second combined arms attachment with a war boss and a war bike, and as many of those 3-man squads of bikes as you can.
But you need your KFF though.
Maybe.
Sure,
Maybe.
to be
once again,
survivable.
but once again, you can just be jinking.
You can't because you have cover ignoring stuff.
Only when I really want to focus on something. Like I have that one unit, the optimized stealth cadre, which will ignore cover.
Don't you have marker lights that ignore cover?
Yes, but if they're in squads at 3, I'm wasting my marker lights.
That's true. That's true.
That's just it. That's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
I've got the squad of 6 pathfinders with marker lights, and I put it on 3 bikes. It feels like a waste. I'm going to want to put them on a Death Star, and that way I can really focus fire on that thing.
Now we're talking extremes here because think of like tournament players where they have a list, an all-comers list, that's not going to be good against Tau.
But if Tau is the predominant thing in a tournament, then predominantly people will build to counter that.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens in the meta
Yeah.
of tournaments,
Yeah.
is that something comes and stomps in one tournament. The next tournament, everybody brings that. And then by the next tournament after that, everybody's figured out how to counter that.
Yeah.
And so they bring the countering army, and the person who wins is the guy who figures out how to exploit the countering army. And it's like now everybody's bringing this because they're trying to counter that, and I'm going to anticipate that and bring an army, which an all-comers list, it would be an awful all-comers list, but because I know what I'm going to be up against. And we see that in some tournaments. Some people are very clever in doing that.
Yeah.
Like the Lictor spam list, when I saw that the Wave Serpents were starting to become very popular, it was just bringing tons of Lictors, which is like, Lictors are useless. And he beat the Eldar players because it was a perfect counter to the Eldar Wave Serpent spam before the new Eldar.
Right.
And he beat them with it because they were perfect for countering that and nothing else.
Right.
And so, he happened to play against enough Eldar Wave Serpent spam lists because that's what the meta was, that he could win the tournament. Whereas if people did bring the Wave Serpent spam, they probably wouldn't have won the tournament. So that's not taking anything away from him. He was smart in figuring out how do I counter the meta. It's not about making the most overpowered list. It's about anticipating, which is that's just strategy, of course. Which of course we avoid doing in our battle reports because
It's not exciting to see a bunch of lictors pop a bunch of waves
and be done.
Yeah.
Unless you're like, that's what you're trying something out, and you just want to showcase that. Oh crap!
What?
One of us lost our mic.
Who? Oh, you.
No, you. All right. So sorry everybody. If Dave got a little quiet partway through, his batteries ran out. So hopefully it happened near the end. You're still heard through mine at least.
Yes, that's true.
So.
And I'm facing.
And you are facing me. So if you got a little quiet there, then now you know why.
Sorry.
I thought we checked the batteries, but I guess we didn't. I guess we've been talking for a while too. But that's some really good ideas. That gives me some hope. I hope that we can do that. Now it is very specific things to counter them, but
It stays within chaos too.
yeah. But when we really think about it as well, that the other nice thing is once I figure out how they're powerful, I'll figure out how not to play them as well. I'll be like, oh, it'll be too powerful to bring this, so I won't bring that.
What if we make a series?
Or I'll tone it down or something like that.
Countering Tau with chaos.
Oh, where we just keep playing until you win.
It would probably take a few.
Yeah, let's see how long you last. Like before you're like, forget it! Table flipped! That's how you counter them, break my models.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, well, I think that's all we got to talk about here. Thank you so much for watching, and once again, we have a battle report for you, a Dark Eldar/Eldar versus Tau against Sheldon from Seattle. From Seattle. Oh, maybe if Sheldon's from Big Bang Theory is from Seattle, that would be a weird coincidence. And so go ahead and watch that right now. If you're not a Vault member, you can still click it, get a free 7-day trial to the MiniWarGaming Vault, get instant access to that battle report, and thousands of others, and painting tutorials and everything else, and help support us to do this, because it's you Vault members that allow us to do this. No, nothing else brings in enough money to actually cover the expenses that we have to make videos like this. Thanks for watching. Happy wargaming.